Hello, greetings from Hyderabad. Today's event focuses on exam cloud migration tool, what's new and improved, presented by Nehemiah Jeyakumar, hosted by Vishal and Yamini. Over to you, Nehemiah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yamini. Welcome everyone to the Hyderabad Psycho User Group. Today I will be talking about XM to XM Cloud Migration Tool, which was released by Sitecore, and we have few details there. So we'll dig into that and how to use it and what are use cases on this. So very happy to present here in Psych Hyderabad User Group. And my name is Nehemiah Jeyakumar. I am a Sitecore architect at Cloud IQ and a psycho technology MVP. You can read my blogs in my website, connect with me on LinkedIn and social media channels. So before we start, I would like to thank Yamini and Vishal, the organizers of this user group, for giving me this opportunity to present. Thank you. So here is the agenda. Here's what we'll cover today. So I will briefly describe the tool. We'll provide some background and comparisons of the initial version versus the latest version. And we'll also discuss about how to install and setting up this tool. And also we'll also talk about some of the prerequisites to use this tool and how to use this tool using graphical user interface and a CLI. And then we'll have a time for the Q&A. Let's start with the introduction of this tool. So this tool helps migrating the content on media and users from the source Sitecore instance. It can be XM or XP to the target XM cloud environment. It acts as a middle layer that simplifies the task of entering the and selecting the data and orchestrating the migration. It is available both in graphical user interface and command line interface. To give some background about this tool, when XM Cloud was introduced, it was a shift from the traditional way of handling content to a purely headless and a SaaS environment. So many clients reported migration to XM Cloud as a tedious and a time-consuming effort. So it was a time when Sitecore invested and asked the Sitecore team to work on a migration tool, and they released this tool. This tool was first introduced to simplify the migration to XM Cloud and first showcased in the SUGHYD North America. It was released to public in November 2023, and the initial version 1.0 supported versions only from 10.1 and above, and also supported only the migration of on-prem site code content to the XM Cloud. And it was not supporting the Azure App Service, and even anything below the 10.1 version was not supported. In the version 1.0, under the hood, it leveraged Psycho content serialization. So because of that, there was a dependency with the Psycho management service to make use of this tool. And the management service has to be installed in the current site core instance. So when Psycho users are migrated using this tool, the tool will create an account in the XM Cloud target organization, and an invitation email will be sent to the user to join the XM Cloud organization. And coming to the version 2.0, so it was released in October 2024. It supports version 9.1 and above. It delivers fast data transfer built on Google's protocol buffer, and it no longer depends on the Psycho CLI. So that means we do not have any dependency with our content serialization or content management service. It can work independently, and and we do not have any sort of delays because of the serialization mechanism. And it has been optimized to support migration of large data and batches. So there are some changes in the protocol, so that helps. the tool to migrate in batches. So it supports a very large number of data migration. And it supports migration of content from Sitecore on-prem and as well as the PaaS installations. So that was not the case for the 1.0, but they added support in the 2.0 version. So for this version, the tool dependencies. So the dependency that you need to install it in your current Sitecore instance has been simplified a lot. So they are provided as a simple Sitecore package, and the tool also has been added with some additional subcommands for the CLI. So the CLI uses for some sort of automation in case if you want to automate the migration with the CLI is a very helpful way. And similar to the version one, the media items stored in the Psycho DB are supported. So any media items which are stored as files, they are not supported. So only the items which are stored in the DB are supported. How to get this tool? So the tool is available in the developers.psycho.com. The download archive has the tool like GUI and the CLI application and the dependency Psycho package and the documentation. So when you extract this tool, you will get all this information. And there are some few steps that you have to do before we start using this tool. So before we install, let's talk about the dependencies. So in the version 2.2, Psycho has simplified the dependencies. So it means all sort of handlers or assemblies or which are needed for this migration are stored in a single folder called migration harness. So we'll talk about this dependencies one when we do the installation. So coming to the installation has a three steps. One is like you need to have the dependencies to be installed in the source system, and you need to add some additional configuration in web.config, and another patch file that you have to add. So dependencies can be installed with your regular installation wizard. You can use the package and then install it in your wizard. Or if you're not able to access or use the installation wizard, you can extract the content and manually move the migration harness folder in your webroot folder. Along with that, we have a set of runtime assembly binding to be added in the web.config. So we recommend to just take a backup of your web.config and apply these changes. And we also need to update one of your security setting, which is Psycho Item Services Security Policy. So services on policy. So this is required for the tool to grant access to all the entities and item services on this for in the system. So you can patch it as shown in the screenshot here. So we did all the work in the current Psycho system, so the tool can connect to the source system. But when we talk about the target XM tool, so what do we need? So let's talk about some of the prerequisites for this particular tool. So from the source system perspective, you will need the Psycho content management URL, admin user ID or password. It can be any user, a dedicated admin user and a password. And from target XM Cloud perspective, you will need XM Cloud environment ID and the content management base URL and the client ID and the client secret. Talking about the client credentials, it should be organization credentials, which you can create in the XM Cloud Deploy app. And the reason for the organization credential is so whenever the tool invites the migrate the users, it invites the users in the XM Cloud. So it needs organization credentials so that the users can be invited to the XM Cloud environment. So let's have a visual walkthrough of this tool. I have created a simple local Sitecore instance, created around 30,000 sample items under the folder called migration. So let's assume that this is a legacy canon that we want to migrate to the XM Cloud access. So we will start first use the Geo application and then we will see how we can use the CLA application to automate it as well. To use a GUI, so when you use a GUI application, it provides an option to choose what type of migration type it is, whether it is a content and media and or users. You can do both the thing or you can choose one at a time. In the next screen, you will be provided with an option to provide the Psycho content management URL and the admin ID and the admin user ID and the password. In the next screen, you will need to provide the target XM Cloud details like environment ID, content management base URL, organization client ID, and the client secret. This tool provides a clear details or way to get these details in XM Cloud. It's mostly the deploy app. So you can go to the deploy app, you can create a client credentials, and you can provide all these details here. So as you might know, things are changing very quickly in the XM Cloud since it is a SaaS environment. So these instructions are working for now, and the location of these to get these details may change anytime. So in this screen, if the source Sitecore instance details like admin user ID or the password or the Sitecore content management URL is correct and it is working, the tool will fetch the content in its review structure. It is more similar to the Rassel tool or some tool that you are used with our other Psycho products. And also provides the checkbox. You can, as a user, you can go and select what are the content that you want to migrate. The tool is also has a capability to automatically give the higher precedence to the templates and the content. So this will help to migrate the content first and sorry, content to migrate the template first and then to the migrate the content. So in this screen, the tool will check if the XM Cloud details are correct. If it is, then you will get the success message. In case if your XM Cloud details are incorrect, then you will have a failure message. So you may need to go and check your client credential and client secrets, and whether it is working or not. So once every details are available, if everything is okay, then you can click on migrate. Once you click on migrate, that's when the magic happens. The tool will start working on selected items. It serializes the items as a Google's protobuf, and it migrates in batches. So the screen shows each and every step, and it also tells, okay, what the like whether job completes, and it also has a built-in job polling feature. So what happens is, in case if you have a huge amount of transfer, so the polling job will go and fetch and see, okay, what is the status of the job. So in this case, the job completed in 11.2 seconds, and you can see all the details, like all the log, everything in your GUI application itself. So one thing to note, so what are the values that you entered, like source, cycle, content management URL, admin user ID and a password, exemplar details, the whatever you entered in the GUI, so those are stored in a file called app settings or JSON. So we'll talk about this setting file in the next slide. The app settings JSON file. So that file is not provided as part of the tool archive. So when you extracted the tool archive initially, this file was not available. So it is automatically created if missing when opening a GUI application or a CLA for the first time. It stores all the configuration entered via GUI and the items to be migrated to configure in the content section. So there are some attributes that you can check that. So content transfer scope. It supports only one option at this time. It just says, okay, whether you want to migrate the current item and also children or the descendants also. Currently, it supports only one. It is item and descendants. So it is going to migrate entire content the children and the descendants completely to the target system. And also it has another attribute called merge strategy. So there is only one option supported at this time. It is override existing item, which is going to override everything in your target system. If you see here, this is very similar to the CLI, serialization configuration, but the attributes are a little bit different from there, and we don't have much options to choose. But when it comes to the serialization, you have other options. You can just serialize only the items, or items and children, or item descendants, but that is not the case here. So these are some sort of limitations that we have in this tool. So as you can see, you don't see that app setting the JSON file initially, but when you open it, it just automatically creates. And to support the migration of the large data volumes, Sitecore has added their support to migrate in batches this time in the version 2.2. So here are the two settings that uh, we can configure basically. One is items per rack, so which means the number of Sitecore items to be included in a batch. So you can choose how many number of items which should be included in a single batch file. If too low setting can result in a large number of I files to be transferred, and a too high setting can affect the transfer speed. So the default auto-generated file has 10,000 items per batch file. So you are free to change it in case if you want it. Um, but make sure you see like if there are too low setting, then there's a large number of batch files will be created. So another setting is called media size limit. It determines the maximum size of the media content that can be included in a single batch file. And also the default auto-generated file has 100 megabytes batch file. Again, this also you can change it based on your requirement. And the too big file means it takes a lot of time to transfer, and there's a lot, it's error prone for the failure as well. So you can change it based on your network speed and everything. And the default is 100 megabytes. So here is a screenshot of the app settings or JSON file. As you can see, what are the values that you entered in the content in the GUI of CMUR admin username password, and XM cloud details are stored here. And other setting is like content, like what content that you selected, and that also is stored here. As a user, you can go there and you can update it in case if you want to change it. The reason is like this particular JSON file can be used for the CLA as well. So what you can do, you can start the GUI and then you can use a JSON file for automating those things. So in case if you want to add some additional content, you can add some additional details in the JSON file and then you can use a CLI to migrate the content. So coming to the CLI, so we did this GUI, which did select, you have an option to option with the checkbox, provide all the details, and then with the migration of with the click of migrate button, it was able to migrate everything. But come to the CLI leverages the same JSON file that you have created from the GUI. So this can help you for the automation. So this also has some sort of commands and subcommands. The main thing is the content. So content, it is going to read your content section of a JSON file. It is going to find out what are the values based on the order. It is going to choose. It is going to create a batch, and it is going to send the content to the target XM cloud. In case if you do not want to save the username, but if you want to pass it as a param, you have an option here. You can say source username and source password. You can provide it so that you can send it on the fly. So that in case if you have some sort of automation via um, like a ADO or other tools, you can pass it as a token so that it's not exposed to anywhere. So in case we want to migrate the users under a particular domain, you have an option to choose, okay, migrate user domains. It is going to fetch all the users under the particular domain and it is going to send it to the target XM cloud. And the users will be created and the invitation will be sent to the user's email, which is on the file. And to get help, you can specify question mark height or help, which is going to provide you option was, okay, what are the commands, what are sub commands which are available in this tool. So here is a visual representation of the CLI, which has a similar type of execution. So whatever there in the GUI, which has similar execution, and it also took the similar time, like same 10, 11.2 seconds when I executed it. So coming to the troubleshooting. So whenever, every time whenever you use a GUI or a CLI, a separate log file is created. So all the activities which are happening in the background, you can see it in the log file. So it is very easy. You can separate the instance every time. So you can specify a particular instance and you can go to the file and you can check the logs and you can troubleshoot the issue. And this folder is present in the same extract. So whenever you need, wherever the folder that you execute the CLI or the GUI, in the same folder, you will have the logs folder and the logs files are stored there. Okay. Coming to the metrics. So this tool can migrate large number of items efficiently. It is purely based on the underlying framework that is being used, the Google serialization framework, and also on the batch file mechanism. Based on my initial analysis, based on the logs, so migrating around 31,000 items, it took around 11 seconds. So it includes creating the package in the source system, transferring and loading in the XM cloud environment. This is purely from my sample environment, but I want to give a very big disclaimer that this is not an official performance indicator. So, and this is coming from my limited sample test. But coming to the timing perspective, it looks promising if you are in need of migrating a large amount of legacy content to the XM cloud. So there may be need of migrating a big amount of media library items that you want to move to the XM cloud access. So you can use this tool to migrate it, and that is going to migrate in a very faster way than the creating a psycho package than doing it in a CLI. This will be a much better option. But there are some known issues are there. Let's say if you're opening GUI for the first time, loading the content tree, in case if a content tree is so big, loading the content tree structure in the tree view, it may take some time, but it apparently works after some delay. But those are some of the limitations that I found when I use this tool. To conclude, this tool is used for migrating content, media items, as is to the sources from the sources from the XM Cloud. So this tool does not provide a way for you to transform the data. So in case if you want to transform from your MVC content type to a headless content type, this tool is not the tool for you. This does not help you to transform the content, but it's very good for access migration. So as I mentioned, it's in case if you are splitting the migration, it's better to migrate the template first and then go to the migrating the content. So another limitation, in earlier stages, there are some cases where media items are stored in the files to avoid the big database sizes. So for those instances, this tool cannot help. So this tool will work only if the items are stored in the databases. So there are some alternatives that are available in the community in case if you want to transform the data before migrate. Even you can go for a custom script via PowerShell extension, or there are some additional XM Cloud migration community tools are available which can help you to transform the content. Overall, for access migration, with all the additional protocol buffers and also batches, this tool can definitely help you to migrate a large data to the exemplar environment. Yeah, thank you for your time, and we can open up for the questions.
Any questions? Yeah, feel free to ask now. Okay, I have a question. Just like to confirm, like this tool is applicable mostly for headless experiences, like headless sites to be migrated from like a SXA or headless sites from Exam and XP to Exam Cloud, correct? Not for the normal MVP in the MVC as you said earlier, correct?
Is not dependent on any sort of framework like headless or MVC. It is purely content. So if you have a
Okay,
content in whether it is XM or XP or anything, you can just
okay.
migrate. As I told you, right, this is just going to do access migration. It is not going to give you a transformation from MVC to headless. It's not going to do a transformation, but it can move the content assets like how you just simply do a content creation, right, with the package.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's basically like you are creating a package and putting it in the target system. So this tool can help you with that. But if you know the how slow it is to create a package and move the content, right?
Yes,
But this tool underlying mechanism help you to move it in a very faster way.
like blog content mostly, like where as this content is required, correct? Like in terms of
Yeah.
blog
So
content. Okay. Any questions? You can also type in the chat box if you are if you want to ask any query also. Could you also explain more on like if suppose we are migrating from one like XP is an old type of MUC, like not from framework but from perspective, as I said there are community tools available, right? So if we want to migrate from headless to XP only, like if it's in like 9.1 which is in like older versions of Sitecore and not as is, but we need to transform a little bit content, then how can we like suppose if we want to migrate it from a normal solution which is in Helix and Habitat to to the headless experiences, so will that be possible to migrate such content, or it just have to dump it again like another way? We have to recreate the content again.
yeah. So that way, like, so if we talk about a habitat or a headless way, right? So you have a content that may be working for MVC application, maybe even for headless also fine. But that may not work in the XM cloud. You may in XM cloud you may need a different format. So for those kind of migration, this tool cannot help you because this tool is not going to say, okay, I have a field of like I have a item of 10 fields, but the target system I want to migrate only three fields to one item or three fields to another item. This particular tool is not going to help you with that because this tool is just going to say, okay, I have an item of 10 fields. I'm going to migrate another item with the 10 fields. That's it. It's like access migration. But
Okay. Okay.
like in case if you want to transform it, so we have to go with another approach. Either you have to transform, you have to change it in your source system itself and use this tool to migrate, or you can use this tool to migrate it to the source system and transform it, or you can completely use a different tool. Like you can go for a custom PowerShell script, or I think I see there are some MVPs who have published certain reusable community modules which can migrate your content like from one template to a multiple templates item. So I think so, but I have not used it. But from this particular tool is specific use cases like migrating the content assets. Like if you have a large chunk of media items that you really want to do it in the XM code, this tool can definitely help you with that.
Okay. And this is an official model from Sitecore, right?
Yes, it is an official module from Sitecore, but we don't have that much traction on this tool because there are a lot of limitation, right? And there's a
Hmm.
very limited use cases. So we don't have a very good amount of support from the Sitecore as well. Uh, as I told you, this was purely created as a tool to showcase to the client, okay, saying that, okay, this is the tool that can help you with that migration. But even if you ask me from the documentation perspective, the documentation is not available in the documentation side. it is available as part of the tool extract itself. Um, but as I told you, right,
Okay.
we don't have that much traction. But if you have a very like a limited use case or something like that, this tool can definitely help you with that.
Okay. Understood now. Clearly understood now. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nimia. Any questions, guys?
Is there anything missing that you would like to see maybe this tool help you with?
Yes. Like one thing is like the transformation that is not possible. Like that is completely depends on the solution. I would say like transforming one template to a multiple template or transforming way that if that is the case, then this tool is going to be a very big hit on the migration. Currently, it is not supported, right? It's just migrating assets. But otherwise, from a speed perspective, a batch file perspective, this is a perfect tool, which I felt like from a test perspective, like it was working. Um, but yeah, the limitation of because that is the way how it is used. Like it is just created only to migrate assets. Uh, but as I told you, if there's a way to transform it, it's going to be a very big hit there.
So as for the transformation side, so are you looking for, say, taking items from, say, one template, moving them to other templates, or even possibly like moving items from one portion of a tree to a different portion of a tree? Is that kind of some of the transformations you'd be looking for?
Even one template to one template to another, like we're having a template, read it, and then get this field, this template, this other fields, some sort of a mapping, like a source mapping and a target mapping. If that is there, that itself is a big hit there. Um, and moving to a different location, yeah, that is kind of a little bit trickier. I understand that, but even that can be achievable after we migrate to the XM Cloud. We can just use the PowerShell script to migrate. It will
Yeah,
be a
correct.
two-step process. It's a two-step process, but at least if there is a way to transform from one template to multiple template, that itself will solve a lot of problems because MVC is we have put everything in a single template most of the time, but in the headless way we have a different ways of doing it, and it's a complete different template there. So
Okay. So, we can expect anything from Sitecore in near future to explore more on this content, like, sorry, on this tool, like, can we transform content? Like, are there any, like, just asking, like, if there is any hint from Sitecore that it can be improvised or something like that?
um, I do not know, but I didn't see that much traction, if you ask me, from a community perspective, because everybody's use case is different, and this tool cannot suffice their need every time, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Agreed.
and so, so most of the people they're using PowerShell extension. That's what my understanding. And there is one another solution provided by another Sitecore MVP guy. Is like he connected some database, a source database to a local Docker instance, he migrated, like he did it in a different way. That was another way to migrate. But most of the cases I have seen PowerShell extension is a big hit there because the transformation is possible there. Um, but I have seen in another one is a database, adding a database as another database in the local Docker instance for XM Cloud, and then he migrated it. I think he said like he migrated almost 100 sites very quickly. Even I wanted to explore that, but yeah, so this one I couldn't do that.
That's a lot of info then. Thank you so much, Nehemiah. Guys, if you do not have any queries, then we are good to go for today. And thank you so much for the presentation. It was really good, and I think learned something new today as well. So, hoping to reconnect again with some other new topics inside Core Hyderabad group. Thank you, team.
Thank you.